For today's lesson, we're going to go over what is copyright and ask ourselves, why is it important? So first, we're going to start off with some vocabulary words that we need to know for our lesson. The first one is copyright law. So the definition of that is the body of laws and regulations that govern the exclusive rights of an author or creator to make copies, license, and otherwise exploit their literary, musical, or artistic work. So when we think about copyright, if we are in a classroom and we have our textbooks, most of the time we can see that there is a copyright symbol that you can see an example right here to the right. And it lets us know that we are not able to duplicate or make copies of that textbook. Also, I know the definition is a little wordy and lengthy, but a shorter definition is basically anyone that creates something. You are a creator. You own the rights to that product, that piece of work that you created. And it gives you the right to that ownership where others cannot take the work from you. Another definition that we want to look at is digital identity. And so this one is just letting us know that the collection of data about an individual, organization, or electronic device that exists online. I included this definition because as we use our Chromebooks in the classroom and in the library, you have your Google account linked, and so the information that you are researching and looking up is all connected. So just being mindful of your electronic use on the device. And the last vocabulary word that we're going to look at is intellectual property. And so we think about that word intellectual, it kind of makes that connection to our academics in school. And the definition is property that results from original creative thought as patents, copyright material, and trademarks, an individual product or original creative thought. So with that one, I just wanted to emphasize that it is your original creation, original thought, and it gives you the right to use it for those purposes of intellectual property, to learn and to grow. We're going to go move on to the purpose of our lesson. And so for our lesson, our goal by the end of today's lesson is that we will be able to communicate the purpose of copyright law and identify when it is appropriate and when it's inappropriate to use certain digital content and the information. Just so y'all are aware, the copyright law, right, it has that word law in there. It is a federal law. So this isn't just a school rule. It's not just a library rule. This is something that we're learning in elementary school, but we will also carry on with us for our future education and when you're an adult. So the reason that it's important to know and understand copyright law is because you are constantly interacting with digital tools at school and at home. Specifically at school, we use online resources and book resources to learn and find out information. So let's discuss. When you create something of your own, you are the owner and have rights to your creation. This can be a story, a song, a video, a painting. Overall, it's anything that you create. So when we think about creating something, normally we're really proud of what we create. We are wanting to keep that for ourselves and show others like what we created. But when we put something out for others to view, there's also a possibility that others may try to take what we have created. So I have some questions for thought. And the first one is, how would you feel if someone took your work and used it without permission? Right? So they're like, I'm going to borrow this, but they didn't tell you that they were going to borrow it. And the second question is, how would you feel if someone tried to pass your work off as their original work? I think about like in our classrooms, we always try to put our name on our paper so that you have that ownership, that that is your work and it's your paper. So thinking about, how would you feel if somebody were to erase your name off your paper and then put their name and try to pass off your hard work as theirs? So the question is, what is the purpose of copyright? Why do we have it? And why is it important in our library and in our school? So copyright protects people's creations from being copied and used without permission. All material on the internet is copyrighted, even if you don't see the symbol that identifies it as being copywritten. So no matter what, always assume that it has copyright, because you want to double check your resources and make sure that you're using something with permission. When is it appropriate to use something? So that same question is, do you have the permission? And then, are you using the work in a new way? So making sure that you're not just copying and pasting and using the exact work that somebody else did, making sure that you're using it in your own way. And then the last one is, how much are you using? We want to make sure that we're not using a large quantity or a huge chunk of someone's work. We only want to use what we need. The next part is inappropriate use. So it's inappropriate to copy the exact material that somebody else did. That is called stealing their work and using it without permission. Also, sharing files and downloads. There's times when we have downloads and we create files, and there's actually rules that say that you cannot share that download. Only the person that downloaded it can use it, and you cannot recreate that and share it with other people. The last one is selling of creative work. So we want to make sure that we are not copying someone else's work and then benefiting off of their hard work and making a profit from their creation. And then if we're able to, always making sure that we can cite or give credit to the resource or the person that we are borrowing and having permission to use their resource. So especially in books, we want to know who the author is, the title of the story or the title of the article, when the copyright is, who the publisher is. So those are just things to look for when we're looking at a website or when we're reading a book. So I know that whole question that always comes up is, why can't I just copy and paste from the internet? The information's right there. That's exactly what I want to say. It already sounds good. When we use resources, we want to use only the amount that is needed to get our point across. The less you use of someone else's work, the better. Always give credit when using resources. And if you copy and paste someone else's work, word for word, you are taking their work. And that is without permission, and that is against the copyright law. Here's some examples of some resources we may use throughout the year in the library. So like I said, text, we may use books, articles, blogs, any written work is considered a text. Specifically, we use a lot of websites. And so I did include right there, sometimes on websites you will see where it says terms of use. And if you don't see a terms of use, I did include this quick little snippet of PBS Kids at the bottom of their webpage. It does have the copyright dated. Also, the Arthur book that I have pictured here, I put in that yellow box so you can see the copyright information. More often than not, it will include a copyright of some kind. And if not, there are always ways to double check and make sure that we have permission to use something. When it comes to audio, we may be using music, we may be using podcasts or audio recordings for our learning. When it comes to any type of resource that we're using, and specifically music, we want to use 10% of a musical work. So we try to keep it to a small percentage. So for example, if you have a favorite song that you want to include on a presentation, let's say the song is 3 minutes long. So 10% of that, you can only use 18 seconds of that song. So when you think about like your song, 18 seconds isn't that long. So you want to make sure that you are using a part of a song for a specific reason, not just because, not just to add a song. Podcast as well, same thing. We would use snippets of it and any audio recordings. Coming down to the left, sometimes we use pictures. And so we might use personal pictures or photographs that you have taken on your own, or a lot of times we get Google Photos. And so in a little bit, I will go over how to use Google Tools to make sure that we're searching for Google Pictures correctly. And then the last one is videos. Most of the time we use a lot of YouTube videos to reference, to give plenty of examples and make those connections. And then sometimes we might even have TV shows or different movie clips that we want to use. And so we want to make sure that we are not using all of the video or all of the YouTube segment that's being uploaded. We're only using part of it, only part that we need to get our point across. So here's that example that I was talking about when we were looking up pictures. So whenever you go to Google, you can just type in the picture that you're looking for. My example here for step 1 is typing in pictures of pumpkins. So then once I do that, it gives me a whole page full of images. But then you can see where the arrow is pointing. It has tools, and you click down that drop down, and then you would click down on the advanced search. From there, step 2, you would go down where it has this blue text and it says usage rights. From there, you would click down the drop down, going to step 3, and you can see that it gives you all these different options of which you can select. And so we definitely want to make sure that we are looking for photos or images that we can use for free, that we wouldn't be taking someone else's work and breaking those copyright laws. So now we're going to apply our knowledge of what we learned today. You're going to go ahead and get your Chromebooks out, and you're going to sign into your Google Classroom. I've already assigned to you a copyright exit ticket. So once you click on the link, it will look like this, and it will take you to 3 questions. And so you will have to answer what is copyright. So go ahead and type that in. And then why is copyright important? And then just a quick yes or no, is anything you create under copyright? And when you're done, go ahead and submit that, and I will see your results. If you still have questions or you're not sure about something, please go ahead and place a post-it on our parking lot board, and I will go ahead and make sure to answer those questions at our next lesson. And here are my references.